Hey, Facebook family, welcome back to this week's episode of Ambassador Talk. My name is Chief Master Sergeant Jason David. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking to a fantastic first sergeant. His name is Master Sergeant Jonathan Session. John, welcome aboard and thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Chief. It's a pleasure and an honor to be amongst a great company like yourself, and I'm just glad to be a part of the AFW2 family.
Well, I definitely appreciate the compliment, but the compliments actually go to you today for being brave enough to share some insight and maybe a story or two about who you are and why you became a member of the Air Force Wounded Warrior program. So, as we get started today, I'd like to let folks know through you what inspired you to become a member of this program.
Well, Chief, my inspiration really came from actually being referred to into the program because of some of my ailments that I had going on in the military. Us as military guys, I know I was one who I literally wore a mask my whole entire career of not knowing or not letting people see the true me and what was really going on inside. And so once I became referred to the program, I just knew it was a natural thing to be a part of a great family.
So I empathize with everything that you said. I too wore that mask, as do many warriors that are in the Air Force today. So the interesting thing about your story, and especially since we talked before this conversation that we're having right now, is that not everyone knows that they even qualify for AFW2. They think that they have to be. So for myself, I'd like to share with you just a little bit more deep dive. I didn't actually tell you this, but I too suffer the same, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, inability to adapt sort of things that you had found only through, the medical evaluation process. Right.
Right.
And so as a fellow combat wounded warrior, I think that it's important for us to share our stories so that more people who don't think that they qualify find out that they actually do. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yes, sir. I feel the same way because that's definitely was my initial thought process when the word wounded warrior even came to my mind. When people hear wounded warrior, they literally go to a battlefield airman that's actually in there in combat and taking fire and all those good things. But in all honesty, we're all taking fire, and with inside we all have wounds. And so it's not. I found out that it's not necessarily on the battlefield, and so I definitely feel that it's a great program for us all, not just the warriors that are on the battlefield. And believe it or not, most of the airmen that are in the program are not battlefield airmen per se. When we say battlefield.
No, I appreciate that perspective. And if you are tuning in today and watching this, please understand that you can refer a friend or you can be referred by others. Just head over to woundedwarrior.airforce.mil, af.mil, to find out the specifics. There's a apply here button that you can click to find out what the steps are in case one of your wingmen, someone that you work with, a coworker, maybe a spouse that's a part of the program that's active duty, reserve, or guard, if they too qualify for the program as well. So to get back to the shirt story, let me know if you would be so kind, the day you realized that you had a problem.
So, Chief, it probably started real early in my career as a senior airman. So, Chief, I'm a by trade, I'm an electrician. I'm a CE guy, a 3EOX1 for all my CE folks out there. And I did my job quite well. I excelled very well in my career field, and so I was selected on a team to go to Prince Sultan Air Base, Saudi Arabia. For those older folks out there that remember, I was deployed there, and we were there to actually uh, fix their dilapidated runway because they couldn't fly night operations. So it was myself and a team of 7 of us. And so while there, I was teamed up with a very good mentor of mine, Master Sergeant Carl Mitchell at the time, and I was senior airman session. And we did everything together, Chief. We woke up, we ran together, we ate breakfast together, and then we finally go out to the job site and work together. And one particular morning, we went to the job site, and I was about 50 feet north of him. And we had our radios, and I hear man down, man down. And as I turn around, I could physically see that Master Sergeant Mitchell had opened a live circuit. and he was actually being electrocuted. And so we rushed, myself and another Tech Sergeant Ted Roberts. We rushed down and we began CPR. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, and that was the initial incident that led to me understanding what kind of issues I had going on inside, because I pushed all of those feelings that I had towards that incident inside of me, and I pushed and put my mask back on and continued to excel throughout my career. And every milestone throughout my career, I encountered some form of death, whether it be an airman committing suicide, finding an airman hanging in his closet, to most recently here as a first sergeant, giving death notifications to family members about their member not being here. And so just all of those things culminated together, really took a toll on my life, my family, and but me being the person I am, coming from a culture. And when I say culture, I'm talking about an African American culture where the male is supposed to be strong-willed and provide and protect and be the leader of the family. And so that's what enabled me to continue to put the mask on until that mask got broken, and I literally had to break down and get the help that I needed.
There's a lot of things with your story that that resonate with a lot of folks that are probably watching,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and it's not easy. I'm not a medical, you know, medical professional, but I can tell you what survivor's guilt feels like.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
You're totally right.
I could tell you that you probably have nightmares because these things that have happened in your life are not natural, right? And the ones that were not natural to you.
Right, right. And so you hit the nail on the head, Chief. All those things, they resonate with me, and I get all those funny feelings at times. I have different triggers at different points in my life, and I'm on a excellent road to recovery. Don't get me wrong, I'm on an excellent road to recovery, but I'm not quite there. I have good days, I have bad days, but what I want to tell people is that it's okay to be hurt, to be wounded, to be scarred, to be have some kind of recovery that needs to be done in order for you to be 100%. So please take the mask off. Take your mask off. All you airmen out there, take your mask off. Supervisors, ask those second and third order questions so they can be comfortable taking that mask off. And those are the things that we have to do as a community. And what has really helped me in the Air Force Wounded Warrior program see that this is a community to where I'm comfortable taking that mask off and giving myself the vulnerability to tell my story in hopes that it will help others.
I appreciate that perspective. I had a follow up question for you, right? And this is probably going to hit pretty close to home. But the times that you were able to get through it because of your own personal, internal, and mental resiliency, you told me earlier, not in this conversation, but the previous one, you got to a point where you almost broke.
Yes, sir. I was really at a point to where I felt like I didn't I really didn't know if living and being a part of this world was even worthy of me being a part of it, really, and didn't know what my worth was. I didn't feel like I had anything to really be living for. What was the purpose of living if I didn't feel worthy of living? And so I was at a real breaking point until I've talked with my brother. He's prior Air Force. He's a 20-year veteran, Air Force veteran, and then he basically said, "Brother, you need some help. You need help." And coming from him, coming from my blood brother, that was probably the saving grace that I needed. And when he said that, that's when the referral came to AFW2, and man, it's been uh, glorious the whole time. It's been glorious.
So, talk to me about some of the help and guidance and advice that you've received since onboarding as an Air Force Wounded Warrior, not just as an ambassador, but a member, an alumni of this group.
So let me just tell you, if you're getting ready to retire, the out processing whole thing can be overwhelming in itself, just overwhelming. And then to have mental health issues and other issues going on, man. I mean, you've built a bonfire that's hard to put out, really. But as I became a member of AFW2, I had two people that I call angels. I don't even call them by their name. Even when I email them, I say, "Hello, angel, how are you doing?" So my RCC, Miss Deborah, and then at AFPC, Miss Dawn Washington, man, those two ladies really saved my life. I mean, I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know what was next as far as getting out of the Air Force, as far as my medical board process. They literally came in and took over everything. If I had a question, it normally was answered before I even asked the question. And then to inundate me with all the resources that I needed as far as counseling, as far as some of the things that I like to do, as far as the AFW2 family reaching out to people with some of the same issues that I have. It was just a whole um, Christmas gift, I should say, of just goodness. And I mean, it's been that way ever since, and it continues to be that way.
I hear a lot of the same things. We do this conversation every week with different ambassadors, and different members of AFW2, and the story is very similar. It's that the care and the feeding that you get from the members that are installed in the Air Force Wounded Warrior Program are all extremely empathetic. They're extremely sensitive to what ailments are affecting AFW2 warriors. And in addition to all those things, they're just good people. Obviously, I'm not getting paid anything extra for wearing this blue shirt. Neither are you. We
No,
chose
sir.
to become ambassadors for this program to let people know that there's a valuable resource, absolutely valuable resource that some folks just don't know about. So our proposal, obviously online, is through this outreach program to let folks know that they can get help too. I love the catchphrase, "What can AFW2 do for you?"
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
So I like your story about the angels as well. So I had those angels in my life too. Mine were not necessarily there to help with my necessarily my mental resiliency because I went to go see the psychiatrist for that in the Air Force, which I am 100% happy that they exist. But mine were folks that were just kind of pushing me in the right direction. I was very hesitant to share my story. I'm very hesitant to even talk to people about it. In fact, it took me 3 or 4 years even to sign up for the program, even though they continued to, as professionally as possible, berate me with emails
yes, sir.
and phone calls. So I have those two angels too. One is Sean Sprayberry, right? He's in charge of the outreach program, and Dave Wooten, right, and John Fernandez. But my angels are not like yours. Mine are hairy, so I'm going to call mine my hairy angels.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, and they gave me the push in the right direction to even do things like this with you. So, Shirt, I do have to ask you. You were crazy enough, just like I was, to even sign up for the ambassador program. What inspired you to want to talk to people in an outreach program such as this?
Uh, Chief, just what we've already been discussing and what we've already talked about. If my story can just save one individual, if my story can give one individual the courage that they need to keep going, if my story can give the leaders the empathy and sympathy that is needed to lead better, or even our airmen to follow better, if I can do that just by telling my story, man, this is free. This is nothing. I mean, this is the least thing that I can do is tell my story to help somebody. And so that's what has driven me not to only become an ambassador, but I just finished up the mentor ramp program. So I'm actually a mentor now as well. So it's this is 100%. This is where it's at when it comes to helping our wounded warriors.
There is a multitude of different services and activities that you can participate in through the Air Force Wounded Warrior Program, to include the Mentor Program,
Mhm.
the Ambassador Program, adaptive sports, resiliency clinics, things of that nature. And then at the end of the day, it's a family that gets built by people not necessarily the exact same experience, but all with life experiences. I
Mhm.
can probably attest to, when you went through the ambassador workshop yourself, you're probably friends with most of the people that you shared stories with.
True enough. Yes, sir. You're totally right. And that's what it's all about building those commonalities with people that that want to share a story and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I like to tell folks that have either worked with me or worked around me that a career in the Air Force, whether it's a 4-year term or 20 years or 20 years plus, none of this is a sprint.
Not at all.
Our life in the Air Force is a marathon, and you need teammates to win.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
we are here to absolutely publicize that AFW2 is that teammate that will be there for you should you qualify. It's definitely a program that you should take seriously.
Yes, sir. You're totally right, Chief.
So, sure. Last question for you. Is there anything you'd like to add that I did not ask you? Something that's on the tip of your tongue or at the back of your mind while you have this opportunity to address the folks?
I just want to reiterate to everybody, you're not alone. When you're sitting there thinking that your wound is not greater than the guy that's lost a leg wound, or the guy that that's had a heart attack, whatever the case may be. When you're sitting there thinking about that, pick the phone up and call, find out, ask the questions. You may qualify, and even if you don't qualify, the AFW2 family is going to still assist you in getting the resources that you need for whatever your situation is. And again, guys, take the mask off. Be who you are born to be. And if that means you're born with wounds and scars, by all means, we have the medicine to heal them. And so I just ask that you guys please consider it. If that's part of your thought process, please consider it.
Hey, thanks so much for your time this week, Shirt. This is Master Sergeant Jonathan Session here with us, joining this version or this episode of Ambassador Talk. Can't say it enough. Every week, we have ambassadors that share their testimony and let folks know a little bit about themselves and what experiences they've had to the program. If you are interested at all, if you qualify, or you know of someone that could qualify and you'd like to refer them, please head over to woundedwarrior.af.mil. My name's Jason David. We'll catch you guys next week.